Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about Ansu Fati because man, let me tell you, in the past 4 to 5 hours, there has been so many updates. 1 hour we hear that Ansu Fati is going to go to a specific club, and then the next hour we hear that Ansu Fati goes to another different club. This story has been evolving in such a drastic way, and we are going to be explaining exactly what did happen with this Ansu Fati operation in today's video. It is going to be a very exciting one. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. I'm happy that you guys are here. If you guys want to support this YouTube channel, you guys can so by subscribing to the channel and also liking this video. I would really appreciate it. So let's go into this story. Everything almost seemed 100% done that Ansu Fati was going to be a Tottenham player. It was reported by Cope that Ansu Fati was going to go on loan to Tottenham. The operation was 99% complete, and the only thing that is missing is the signatures of Ansu Fati. And Ansu Fati's loan to Tottenham is going to be a simple loan and nothing more. And that is because Barcelona do not want to let go of Ansu Fati completely. They want to let him go temporarily and then bring him back in the summer of 2024. And especially if he does well, Xavi Hernandez and Deco are going to want to have that type of leverage on the future of Ansu. So it is going to be a simple loan. But this is where the huge U-turn does come in. Brighton came into the picture, and Brighton informed to Ansu Fati in Barcelona they also want to make a loan bid, not to buy the player, but a loan bid. But at that moment, we were like, okay, like this could happen. That's very interesting to hear that he can go to Brighton. That would be amazing, right? But Brighton were very serious. Brighton came in with a lot of influence, a lot of explanation to Barcelona and Ansu, and they wanted to showcase why a move to Brighton would be the best idea. And now we sit here today knowing that Ansu Fati is not going to be a Tottenham player, but a Brighton player. It does convince Ansu Fati the most. And it says here, according to Fabrizio Romano, that Brighton have sent an official loan bid to Barcelona for Ansu Fati. They're increasingly confident to make it happen. Brighton are advancing as fast as possible, which was also reported by Ferran Martinez. So the sources were not lying when they stated that Brighton were going to come in with a very big effort. Like the fact that they pushed Tottenham to the side, they punked Tottenham. This whole thing is very similar to like how Barcelona punked Chelsea back in the summer of 2022. Barcelona came in last minute, we pushed Chelsea to the side, and we ended up getting Lewandowski, Koundé, and Rafinha, 3 players that Chelsea wanted. And the same thing is happening today. We're seeing Brighton come into the picture, and they said, I don't care if Ansu Fati has an agreement with Tottenham, and I don't care if Tottenham have a loan deal with Barcelona. It does not matter to us. We're going to come into the picture, and we're going to come in and complete this deal because we think that Ansu Fati can fit in our sporting project. And so like I have said, Ansu Fati is convinced. Fabrizio Romano wants to make it very clear that it is almost 100% done. Ansu Fati is much closer to signing with Brighton compared to Tottenham, even though we have been talking about Tottenham for the past 2 or 3 days. Ansu Fati will be a Brighton player, and that again is very exciting. And I wonder what the optional purchase is going to be in the summer of 2024 when the loan deal is done, if there even is a purchase option that João Laporta wants to include. But here's going to be the most interesting thing about this, like this whole story. If Ansu Fati does well with Brighton in this season, because I know that this club is very well managed in terms of who they sell, who they bring in, how they play on the field, especially with Zerbi as the coach of Brighton. If Ansu Fati does well, his value is going to increase by so much, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there has been so many clubs that came into these negotiations for the signing of Ansu Fati. Teams like Tottenham, Brighton, Sevilla, Real Betis, Atletico Madrid, Dortmund, Chelsea all came in trying to get the signature of Ansu. And so if he has one good loan spell, my friends, with Brighton, and he scores, let's say, 20 goals and provides 5 to 6 to 7 assists, and he plays as a fundamental part to Brighton's success this season, again, his value is going to increase, and Barcelona is only going to get massive financial leverage if they do decide to sell the player completely. Because remember, a player's value is not just determined by the performances. Another factor that we also have to take into account is the amount of clubs willing to buy the player. The more clubs there is and the more demand there is for a specific player, the higher value. And guys, I do have a lot of confidence that Ansu will deliver for Brighton, and he will be exactly what Brighton need for the Premier League. And let me explain why. The Athletic have explained that in the previous game between Brighton and West Ham showcased exactly where their weaknesses are. And this is what the Athletic said. Brighton had 77.8% possession, their second highest figure in a Premier League game, but created just 2 big chances against West Ham's, who had a total of 6. Despite having more than twice as many shots as their visitors, Brighton registered an expected goals total which was less than half of what West Ham managed. In short, they have explained that Brighton had a lot of the ball but with little end product. And if you look at the heat map here on how Brighton performed against West Ham, you can see that the center backs and the midfielders had the majority of the ball, but look at how little influence influence the forwards of Brighton had. They barely touched the ball. So you can see that they know how to pass the ball around, they know how to keep possession, but they do not know how to be very effective up top sometimes, because we know that Brighton is one of the top goal scoring teams in the Premier League. They were last season and they are going to be this season. But there are games, and Brighton know this, there is going to be games where they're going to be having 80% of the possession but have little end product. That could happen against City, that could happen against Arsenal, that could happen against Tottenham or any other team. And Roberto the Zerbi wants to be prepared for this type of weakness, and that is why they want Ansu, because they need to strengthen their end product. Ansu Fati is a goal scorer. When he is 100% fit, he is a great goal scorer. And then if we look at the heat map of West Ham, they barely had the ball. Like, really, dude, like, this is how much they had possession of the ball, and they scored 3 goals against Brighton. Of course, Brighton are going to want Ansu Fati, and that is why they came in with a strong loan offer. Now, again, this is where things get even more exciting. If the loan deal does work and Ansu Fati proves that he can bring value to this club, and then Brighton end up in the top 6 of the Premier League, and mainly because of Ansu Fati and his performance and his goals and his assists, I can see Brighton bidding very high for the player in the summer. They know that this player will come back to Barcelona. He's going to be on the market. If Barcelona decide to move away from Ansu, and that's if, again, right? If Barcelona decide to move away from Ansu, and Brighton are going to want to bid high for the player. And the reason why I think that Brighton have the capability to bid high is because they have just sold a very expensive player, which is Moises Caicedo, to Chelsea for 116 million euros. And I think that they know that they have the funds to invest heavily this summer, but I think they're going to save it for the next summer, because I don't see them bidding high for a specific player anymore. There's only like 2 or 3 days left, but I think that they will reserve those funds and save it for the next summer. It's going to be very similar to what Barcelona did when they had 222 million euros for the transfer of Neymar. They invested that money to Griezmann, Dembele, and Coutinho and spent like 320 million euros. I feel like Brighton are going to want to do the exact same thing. Be prepared. If Ansu Fati does perform, they will spend the money. They will give us 70 to 80 to 85 million euros. And again, who knows how high the value could go, because we know how the Premier League like to act during the transfer window. They spend so much money. They don't have any restrictions. They don't have nothing limiting them due to financial fair play. They spend as much as they want. And if you have a lot of Premier League clubs looking at Ansu and how he performed in the league itself, the bid is going to be so high. So with the exit of Ansu, which will happen, again, he will be a Brighton player. Barcelona are also going to be benefiting from this in the short term. According to Relevo, it has been stated that at the same time, Barcelona have almost completed the signing of João Felix. The 3-way agreement between Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and João Felix is on its way to being sealed. Jorge Mendes and Deco are being fundamental to these negotiations. And man, is Jorge Mendes also being fundamental to Ansu Fati finding a buying club. And so since we are already here, if you guys have not seen the comparisons between Ansu Fati and João Felix, we can see here in this spider chart that João Felix does carry some more advantages compared to Ansu Fati. In pressing, they're almost the exact same thing. In vision, João Felix is superior. In attacking, Ansu Fati is superior. In dribbling, João Felix is superior. And also with heading, João Felix is again superior. In defending, they're the same. So I think that in terms of creativity, Barcelona will be benefiting from João Felix, because Ansu Fati is much more of a number 9. If we also look at the polar chart, we are going to be losing a lot in terms of having a player having a lot of touches inside the box. Look at how much Ansu Fati has over João Felix in that aspect of the game. But with through balls and with key passes and assists, João Felix has that in his disposal. So we will be gaining much more of a number 10 compared to a number 9. And it's crazy to see that Xavi Hernandez is really betting on technical and high technical players like João Felix, Lamine Yamal, and all of these players that can play between the lines. In some way, we could say that Xavi is losing a real number 9, someone who can score goals, but he is gaining a lot of number 10s. And it's crazy to see this obsession from Xavi that he needs a lot of creative players in Barcelona, because Pedri, Gavi, Frankie can all also, and with Gundogan, they can also play between the lines, which means between the defensive line and the midfield line. This team that we are going to be seeing moving forward is going to be wild to see, because I would love to see what's going to be our starting 11. If we have João Felix starting on the left side, I can see Xavi implementing the 4-man midfield, right? The box, with João Felix being the 4th midfielder. And then we have Lewandowski and Lamine Yamal within the front 3. It's going to be a very exciting season. I can't wait to see what João Felix and also João Cancelo can bring to this club. So anything new regarding FC Barcelona, we are going to be talking about it here in this YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.